Sometimes it's even scary to talk about sharks, since they're really very frightening creatures. But it's even more frightening to see them in action. See how they deal harshly with prey in the ocean, how they attack boats, and how they ram submarines. Without further ado, this is Wildlife. And in this episode, you'll see unique footage of sharks attacking everything. Cage diving with sharks has been gaining in popularity lately. One would think who in their right minds would want to plunge into the ocean directly to dangerous sharks, albeit in a safe cage. Is it so reliable? This great white shark spotted the cage and tried to chew on it. The bars were too strong for its teeth, so it was a narrow escape this time. But am I the only one confused by the long distance between the bars? Couldn't a shark stick its head in there and bite the divers? This predator, on the other hand, is more determined. It rammed and crashed into the cage with the diver. Seems that the distance between the bars is normal after all. The head doesn't fit through. But personally, I still wouldn't go down in such a cage to those toothy monsters. What about you? Write in the comments. This guy just wanted to film a kook jumping off a cliff in the waters of Australia. The jump was great. The guy didn't hit his body and successfully dived out, only to hear his friends yelling, "Shark!" He didn't believe them, dove in again, and indeed saw a shark in front of him. The monster swam a few meters away from him. The guy panicked and immediately swam to the shore, but the shark wasn't going anywhere and once again made her presence felt. Fortunately, it only frightened the guy but never attacked him. Some people dive to sharks by pure chance and some do it on purpose, like the man from this video. He was swimming in the sea with his friend. He saw sharks and decided to jump to them. Why? He thought they were non-predatory basking sharks that fed on plankton and were safe for humans. However, only in the middle of his swim he realized that he'd fallen into the lair of predatory sharks. He had to get out of the trap. Here's a slightly similar case. A diver was diving off the coast of South Africa just to shoot some underwater views, but suddenly encountered a great white shark. It swam right by him. Unlike the previous protagonist of the episode, the diver had a harpoon to repel the attack. But believe me, it doesn't always help. It was lucky that the shark was in a good mood. The man dived out and immediately started shouting to his friends that there was a big shark in the water. But sometimes contacts with sharks do happen. Not all of them simply swim past the divers. For example, this diver was not aware of the shark's presence in these waters at all until the predator bit him. The shark hit him on the back of the head. That was the end of it. Maybe the predatory fish was sending a message to the divers to get the hell out of here. Otherwise, next time it might hit the diver on the back of his head with his sharp teeth. This footage was taken in the waters of Fiji. The divers decided to admire the beautiful underwater world, different fish, corals, and so on. Among all this diversity, they did not immediately see a tiger shark, one of the most dangerous sharks in the world. It appeared at the very last second and already opened its mouth to attack one of the divers. But his colleague quickly reached and shoveled a stick in its mouth. This distracted the shark. The diver managed to dodge and escaped. After all this footage I saw, my desire to get in the water tends to zero. Can we at least travel safely on a boat on the seas and oceans? Well, I wouldn't say that. See for yourself. In this footage, people were fishing close to shore. Everything was going fine until a large shark joined them. The predator attacked the boat and soon tried to climb up to the fishermen. They were lucky that the boat was solid. For example, in this case, everything happens on an inflatable boat that was attacked by a great white shark. You have to agree the situation's very serious. It clung to the side with its teeth and bit through it. There was a hole in the boat, so people had to urgently return to the shore. But it's much more dangerous when a shark attacks a kayaker. Kayaks are quite small, and the kayaker literally sits on the water, so they hardly have a reliable defense against a shark attack. Here's a great confirmation of that. A shark, though a small one, attacked the green kayak. The man tried to throw the shark off, but ended up losing his own balance and fell right to the predator. Luckily, there was a boat, to which the man immediately swam to save his life. And here the situation's much more serious. A great white shark deals with the kayaker. It smelled that the kayaker caught some fish and decided to steal the catch. To do this, the shark hit the back of the kayak with all its might and immediately flipped it over. The man immediately returned back because there were no boats nearby. He managed to survive and not even get any damage, but he experienced a real shock. You can't hide from sharks anywhere. I'm not even talking about fishing boats. Even large boats and ships are no obstacle for particularly aggressive and fast sharks like the mako shark. Here it is. It flew out of the water at full speed, flew into the boat, and got stuck in the railing of the side. The predator was trapped and tried to get free, but to no avail. Witnesses could only watch as the vicious shark stared right into their souls and wanted to eat them. But even such dangerous creatures need help. Crew members tied a rope to the tail of the mako shark and lowered the creature into the water. That shark was unlucky. It didn't reach its target. But do not underestimate the mako shark. They jump very cool and sometimes get right on the deck, as in this case with the fishermen who were catching one fish and got quite another. All of a sudden, a mako shark literally flew onto their boat. Fortunately, no one was injured, and the flying shark was soon brought back into the water. Let's get back in the water again, in the shark's native habitat. In this video, though, it's not the shark's native habitat because it takes place in an artificial aquarium at the Dubai Mall, one of the largest shopping and entertainment centers in the world. The divers voluntarily dived in to find themselves in the same water as a real shark. Believe me, there's no editing here. The shark is very real. I don't know what's scarier, the fact that divers take such a risk swimming with this monster, or the fact that the mall management allows volunteers to dive to dangerous sharks. Although it's not that bad, though. In that video, there was a sand tiger shark, which is considered non-aggressive and almost never attacks people. That cannot be said for the bull shark, which, on the contrary, is considered the most aggressive and dangerous to humans. You can also see it in the river. These guys in a kayak came across a bull shark during an ordinary rafting trip. And of course, you can see it in the sea. In this footage, a bull shark makes an attack on a diver. Could have been fatal if not for the harpoon the guy used to protect himself. Don't worry about the shark. When these critters suffer significant damage, their brains block out the pain. Besides, the wound is probably not very serious for such a giant, and it's long since healed. By the way, have you ever noticed that the bull shark can be found literally in any body of water? That's because it lives perfectly well in both fresh and salt water. The world of sharks is amazing, so I suggest you get to know it even closer. Keep watching to see the largest and smallest shark, mutant shark, and the rarest shark species in the world. The great white shark, the tiger shark, the bull shark, all these creatures are very large, but none of them compare to the whale shark in terms of size. This is the largest shark in the world, reaching at least 39 feet in length, although it can grow up to 66 feet. These creatures are harmless and safe. They swim at a slow speed, eat on plankton, and do not attack divers. Moreover, whale sharks like people. They let them swim with them, touch them, and even ride them on their backs. And this is the exact opposite. We used to think of sharks as huge creatures, but the dwarf lantern shark proves that sharks can be very different. This is the smallest shark in the world, which can even fit in your hand because it only grows to 8 inches in length. It's very difficult to see these babies in nature. Scientists have observed these sharks only a few times because they live at great depths, from 1,000 to 1,600 feet. Like many deep-sea creatures, dwarf lantern sharks have bioluminescent features. They have a photophore, an organ that emits light located on the underside of the body. The dwarf lantern shark produces light to attract prey and becomes invisible to predators that swim below it. The glowing belly disguises the shark's silhouette when viewed from above. The dwarf lantern shark can rightly be called unusual, but there are other unusual sharks in the world. For example, the blunt-nosed six-gill shark. This is a large and mysterious species of shark, which is compared to dinosaurs. This is because over the past 200 million years, these sharks haven't changed at all. But still, mutant sharks are much more unusual. Over the past few years, they've been caught in a variety of places around the world. Two-headed sharks and cyclops sharks have been found in Florida, Mexico, and Venezuela. There are more and more of them. Scientists believe the cause is a gene disorder, but could the real cause be something else? It seems that nowadays it's even easier to find a mutant shark than a megamouth shark. This is because scientists consider it to be the rarest species in the world. Since the discovery of this species in 1976, less than 100 individuals have been found and caught. Because of this, it's almost unrealistic to study the species. But scientists have still managed to find out something. It's known that megamouth shark is one of the largest sharks in the world. that it lives in shallow bays at depths of 16 to 130 feet, and in the open sea at depths of up to 5,000 feet, and that it's found mainly in the southern hemisphere. We can only hope that megamouth sharks will not become extinct in the near future, and that scientists will still be able to study them properly. This diver's doing his usual thing, filming the underwater world. Everything looked very beautiful and even serene. Nothing portends trouble, but pay attention. The diver dived with the harpoon as if he knew something. His hunch was on point. Suddenly, he was attacked by a bull shark. The diver reacted instantly and defended himself against it with his harpoon. This saved his life, as the predator was clearly intent on killing the diver. Although the harpoon had to be left to the shark as a souvenir, the diver survived and wasn't injured, which is the most important thing. It feels like this is the same diver, except he bought a new harpoon, just in time to make another dangerous dive. This time there are no bull sharks in sight, but the diver got into the house of a great white shark. It tried to lull his vigilance, just swam peacefully near the diver as if it didn't intend to attack. But suddenly, it still makes a dash and rushes at the diver. The harpoon helped again. A struggle ensues, and for a few seconds nothing's visible. But soon we see that the diver's all right. However, the shark didn't go anywhere. The diver has to drive the predator away from him for a few more minutes before the shark gets to a safe distance. But divers don't get so lucky all the time, and the following video is perfect proof of that. Dan White was in the Red Sea near the Egyptian islands with a group of divers, filming the underwater scenery. We can see that there are sharks here, but so far they're not going to attack anyone. But you should never let your guard down around sharks, as one of the divers did. He swam too close to an oceanic white-tip shark. It opened its mouth and grabbed his leg, while the other diver tried to push it away. He managed to chase the shark away. It may have looked like it bit the diver's leg off, but as Dan said, the diver was only injured. The victim was immediately taken to the hospital and is fine now. And yet, sharks attack animals more often than humans. After all, it's other sea creatures that they feed on. For example, their diet includes seals. Here's one of them, only there's something wrong with it. That's because the seal isn't a seal, it's a robot that was placed in the water by scientists. So far, the shark is dealing with a real seal, but it's not so simple. It skillfully dodged bites, quickly jumped out of the water, and showed itself to be such a difficult prey that the shark lost interest and switched to an easier target, that very robot. The shark attacked it and bit it. The predator quickly realized that this was some kind of fake. You can't get enough of a seal like that, so the shark preferred to swim away in search of some real prey. While that shark was dealing with the robot, its congeners were hunting real seals. Here's one of them. It jumps on the water and has no idea that in a second it'll be in the mouth of the predator. A huge shark jumps out and grabs the pinniped on the fly. And here's another seal caught from an ambush. The shark jumps out high, grabs the animal, and dives back with it. This footage looks very impressive. And this is what it looks like without the slow motion. This is another shark and another seal, but the fight is still just as real. This time, the shark didn't manage to grab the seal with one lunge. The seal skillfully slipped away 2 times in a row. This infuriated the shark, so the third time it caught the seal and grabbed it by doing a backflip. By the way, you don't have to swim far into the sea to see such a fight. Here, for example, everything happens right by the shore. A shark squeezed a seal out to the shallow waters and beat it up. It managed to escape from the grip and get to the shore, but by all appearances, it's in trouble. Its wounds are serious. It doesn't matter if the shark is small or large. If the creature is predatory, it'll be predatory at any size, and even in any place. For example, here we see small black-tip sharks living in an aquarium. Their neighbors are small catfish, and they're very unlucky. One of the sharks grabs the catfish by the tail and starts eating it alive. It breaks free, but it's immediately picked up by the second shark and instantly devoured. The first shark should have been more careful. But let's get back to the big guys in their native habitat. Next, we have the tiger shark, one of the most dangerous sharks in the world. It decided to teach the divers who dived to it a lesson and attacked one of them. He was lucky. The shark only took off his mask. Maybe it was distracted by other divers, or maybe it just liked the diver's mask and wanted one for itself. There are many dangerous sharks in the waters of the Mexican island of Guadalupe, and one of them we're seeing right now. Divers dived into the water in a cage to check out the predators at close range. A great white shark is circling right next to their cage. It doesn't seem to be anything dangerous, but suddenly it decides to attack the cage. It sticks its snout between the bars and bites them. Unfortunately for it, the bars were too strong. I must say, that cage was well designed. Unlike this one. Here the gaps were too big, so much so that the shark almost half made its way to the divers. They had to retreat quickly and hid in the far corner. Fortunately, the shark didn't do anything to them but only hurt itself. Steering out to a shark-infested sea in an inflatable boat is a fool's errand. After all, shark teeth and jaws are real weapons that can deal with inflatable boats in no time. And here's the bite itself. A great white shark attacked the boat and began to sink its teeth into it with all its might. The sailors had to swim urgently to shore before the shark would sink their boat. As you can see at the end of the video, the damage was serious. The boat would have to be repaired. But even if the boat's not inflatable, that doesn't mean that it's safe. Here we see a shark attacking a large motorboat. It sinks its teeth into it and tries to chew off a part of it. What's even creepier is that this part of the cage with the divers, who now risk swimming away into the open sea together with the predator. They're filming everything that's happening from their position. Considering that the video was posted on the internet, the shark was never able to do anything, but it all looked tense and creepy. I would not want to be in a similar situation. According to the authors of the following video, they were swimming calmly off the coast of Australia and Tasmania and watching seals. Everything looked calm and nothing foretold troubles, when suddenly a great white shark rammed the boat. It damaged the front part of the boat, and the tourists had to get away. At that moment, the shark showed up again and momentarily jumped out of the water. Good thing the boat was fast, otherwise the shark would have caught up with it and finished the job. A boat is great, of course, but it doesn't guarantee safety. Especially if you're overboard and your friends, who like to joke, won't let you get back on board. This guy had a hard time. He protected from the shark with a cage while it tried to attack him and the boat. By the way, it was a tiger shark, yes, that one, which is amongst the most dangerous sharks in the world. But on that day, it did not get a point in its bloodthirsty statistics. The protagonist of the video successfully climbed back onto the boat at the end. It's one thing when sharks ram the side or bite the base of boats, and it's quite another when they literally end up on board. This formidable mako shark jumped out of the water so hard that it got stuck in the board railing. The wounded shark is still bloodthirsty. It tries its best to get out and stay on the boat to hurt everyone present, but it failed that day. Many people would not have even touched such a monster and waited until it suffocated, but the people on the boat turned out to be good-natured. They tied a rope to the tail of the mako and lowered the shark into the water. In general, mako sharks are famous for their epic jumps. These creatures are much more likely to end up on boats than get stuck in railings. See for yourself. The fishermen in this video were fishing, but the fish decided to come to their hands itself. A mako shark jumped high out of the water and flew at full speed onto the deck, hitting the fisherman. Good thing that was the end of it. Like the sharks from the previous clip, this one was rescued. It was soon returned to the water. This fisherman decided to spend some time at sea fishing. He was sitting quietly with a fishing rod on his green kayak when suddenly a shark decided to attack him. Apparently, it didn't like the fact that he was fishing for its prey. He tried to throw the shark off but ended up unbalanced and fell to the shark. Luckily, it didn't look like the Jaws movie. The man dropped and left everything and swam to a boat nearby, thus saving his life. And finally, I suggest you take a look at how sharks behave at great depths, where ordinary divers won't find them. You have to use a submarine for that, as these scientists did. They managed to get unique footage of blunt-nosed six-gill sharks in their native habitat. But the sharks themselves didn't like this invasion of their privacy. One of them attacked the submarine and rammed it a bit. Of course, it did no damage, but the scientists had a great experience. And here are the other deep-sea sharks. They don't just swim, but also hunt their prey. And one of the sharks swam literally right up to the scientists. They were separated only by the thick glass of the submarine. The shark looked hostile at the scientists and swam away to go about its business. Imagine a great white shark, only several times bigger, and you'll get a megalodon, the strongest and most invulnerable predator on the planet. It's comforting to think that Megalodon is long since extinct. Or isn't it? Megalodon in the Mariana Trench. Japanese marine researchers set up a huge bait cage and a pressure-resistant video camera and flashlight in the Mariana Trench. The people hoped to capture a new species of creature or just get unique footage, and they succeeded. A huge shark, presumably a megalodon, was caught on camera. Its weight was clearly dozens of tons, and its aggressive behavior was fully consistent with all the stories about this predatory fish. According to biologists, such large sharks do not exist in the world. At least, scientists have never encountered similar ones. Nevertheless, a lot of skeptics got into this story, believing that all this video is nothing more than a staging and a hoax. What do you think? Could someone really have faked this footage? Or did people wrongly consider megalodons extinct? And this is a direct proof of that. Leave your guesses in the comments. Well, while you're writing your opinion, I'll share mine. Considering that this case is not the only potential proof of the existence of these super predators, I begin to believe more and more in what's happening. The fact is that not so long ago, in Yamal, Russia, scientists stumbled upon the jaw of a megalodon. Of course, it wasn't fresh, it was just an ordinary fossil. Nevertheless, its size and shape lead scientists and ordinary people to believe the impossible. No, really, what else creature could have a jaw measuring 5 feet in length, 3.2 feet in width? It has many triangular-shaped teeth, 2 to 3 inches long. You have to agree that it's unlikely that a common shark could have such a large size. By my logic, there's no one left but Megalodon that fits this candidacy. It's not even hiding. That's what all those who believe in Megalodon will now think. This footage was taken from a high point of a ship full of research students. People were lucky enough to see with their own eyes a shark of simply gigantic, abnormal size. According to my senses, it was 2 or even 3 times the size of all the other sharks. Once again, I personally find it hard to believe that this is an ordinary species of shark with some deviation in terms of size. But the version about megalodons lurking somewhere in the depths and accidentally showing itself to people doesn't sound so stupid anymore. It's a pity it was just students, not a trained group of divers and ocean explorers. They would have quickly put a motion detector on that shark, taken good shots out of the water, and could have said for sure what it was. Well, in the meantime, we have to limit ourselves to our own theories, which, by the way, I suggest you share in the comments. Tooth. I wonder if the shark that lost this tooth planned to give it to the tooth fairy and get some kind of gift in return. Judging by its size, it must have been a very good gift. Okay, jokes aside, a Florida diver found a real underwater dweller's tooth. Particularly surprising in this story is that the tooth has just enormous size, 6 inches long. What creature could have such a tooth? Judging by its shape, it's clearly not a sperm whale tooth, and in that case, to which creature, if not to the giant shark, could it even belong? In my opinion, this is yet another wake-up call to scientists that Megalodon was swimming, or is swimming, somewhere underwater. By the way, the protagonist of the previous story is not the only one who has a Megalodon tooth in his collection. Here's another lucky guy. This guy is a 6-year-old Briton. The boy, along with his father, was walking on the Bawdsey Beach in Suffolk, UK, which is popular with fossil seekers. The family was lucky. They found a really rare and impressive artifact. As you understand, I'm talking about a giant tooth of a giant shark. A 4-inch long tooth, barely fitting in the palm of a child's hand, was shown to an evolutionary biologist who confidently stated that it was the tooth of a megalodon. And now, if we compare that it's a megalodon tooth, remember past story or the one where people found a fossilized jaw, and then project all this onto huge creatures underwater with the same body shape, we can conclude that megalodons really do swim somewhere in our waters to this day. Am I wrong about something? A real tragedy. The following story could be described that way because it's of the saddest possible nature. In 2013, a group of tourists was sailing the waters in South Africa, and nothing seemed to be going wrong when all of a sudden someone attacked their boat. Of course, I'm talking about an attack from below. However, in order for this process to be successful for a predator, it needs to be extremely large and strong, because otherwise this boat simply cannot flip over. And unfortunately, that's what it turned out to be. You look how quickly and easily the boat was overturned, and panic and screaming began on the boat. The story, as you've already realized, has a sad ending. None of the bodies were found by the rescuers. There's been controversy for years about what creature could have done such a thing. It's hard to believe it was a whale. These creatures do not usually show a desire to eat people. That leaves us to believe it was a giant shark, the one which name begins with the letter M. A 30-foot-long shark was caught on camera by ordinary sailors in South Carolina. The most amazing thing in this story is that the creature crept up on people quite suddenly and unnoticed. That's what I call an experienced and intelligent fish. According to the sailors, a number of signs of the shark indicated that it was still small, but how big in such a case could it grow? Do you think it could have been a baby megalodon? Or did the sailors make a mistake and it was just an ordinary shark? Write what you think about this in the comments. We've learned quite a few different stories in which people caught giant sharks on camera, found unthinkable teeth, and something else. But still, what was Megalodon really? I suggest we delve into its history to better understand all those clips I showed you and come to an unequivocal conclusion as to whether one of them could have shown a real prehistoric predator. Megalodon is a famous relative of modern sharks, presumably extinct about 2.5 million years ago. The fish was of enormous size and occupied a unique ecological niche, which made its behavior significantly different from any species of sharks known today. First of all, it's worth noting the similarities with whales, especially the fact that megalodons were supposedly warm-blooded creatures. This means that they were able to maintain a constant body temperature, which ordinary sharks were not able to do. The second vector is speed. Megalodons moved at about the same speed as fin whales do today, about 30 miles per hour. They also had a low level of endurance and a slow metabolic process. But despite all these seemingly weak characteristics and features, megalodons occupied the highest place in the food chain, and almost no one else could compete with them. But first things first. Megalodon size. The size of this fish is really impressive. According to scientists, it was somewhere between 60 to 82 feet long and weighed more than 40 tons. Just so you understand, the length of the shark was equal to about 5 or more cars standing in a row. Not a bad size, right? Well, with such a huge body, it's impossible to be weak. Because of its weight, Megalodon could break through the chest cavity of a small cetacean with a single collision at speed. Habitat. If you think that with such an abnormal size, this shark must live somewhere at a maximum depth, you're greatly mistaken. In fact, Megalodon used to hang out in coastal areas. That's evidenced by the many teeth found there. And no, they weren't found there because of the current. It was a good place for the fish to breed, and it liked to swim in warmer waters. Why is it so big? This is the question many uninformed people who first hear about this giant shark will ask themselves. Indeed, why has Megalodon grown to such an impressive size? Well, some other sharks or other creatures remain tiny compared to it. Actually, the answer is rather simple. Remember when I told you about its slow metabolism? Well, this feature and the shark's large size were the result of the high oxygen level in the places where the fish lived. It was because of this that Megalodon grew to such a large size. Nowadays, however, this level has dropped, and no one is physically able to exceed the size of the blue whale. And yes, the blue whale is clearly not smaller than the legendary large shark, but it feeds exclusively on plankton, which is very, very abundant. But Megalodons ate only fish. Very big fish. So does it exist after all? The factors I mentioned earlier and many other factors suggest that Megalodon could not have survived in today's environment. Other predators are much more agile and nimble, which means that food for such a large fish would be in short supply. On the other hand, there are hard facts in the form of eyewitness videos. They clearly show the tracks of a giant creature, which by any means is not a whale. It's impossible to understand what it is if not a whale. We can only guess and stand on one side. You're either for the fact that Megalodon is alive, or you're sure that this is nothing more than a hoax or prank by modern underwater creatures or humans. Which Megalodon moment scared you the most? Let me know in the comments. Next, I'll show you the most frightening monsters from the depths of the ocean. Let's start right away with a picture that my subscriber sent me. According to him, it happened somewhere in Australia during a fishing trip. His friends were fishing when suddenly this terrifying creature appeared out of the water. It looked like a giant squid was going to eat people, but luckily it didn't, and the creature dived peacefully back into the depths. Of course, this photo raises a lot of questions. How was it taken in the first place? Where exactly did it happen? Are there any witnesses? And so on. But there are no answers yet. So I suggest you write in the comments what you think about this. Do you believe in this huge squid, or in your opinion, is this a fake? Mr. Terrible Claw. I don't think you need any additional introduction or explanation of the essence of the creature. Everyone knew at once that there was something wrong with the crayfish's claw. Well, to be exact, instead of it has a huge chainsaw relative to its size. And surprisingly, because of this, scientists still can't understand the purpose of this claw, because its size doesn't allow using it for the usual purpose for crustaceans. The only assumption scientists have is that the claw is needed by the crayfish for sifting silt, as the animal leads a scavenger lifestyle. In any case, fortunately for ordinary fans of seas and oceans, we will not encounter such a strange creature. This crayfish lives about 1,600 feet under the water. Although it will be more correct to say it survives there, the fact is that it is completely blind. For orientation, this unusual creature uses long antennae and sensilla, peculiar hairs all over its body. Let me see. When people go underwater in special cages, they want to encounter dangerous marine predators in person. For example, they want to see sharks. Such an encounter brings a lot of adrenaline, even if people and sharks are separated by a cage. Nevertheless, there are thrill seekers who are ready to encounter predators face-to-face without any obstacles. That's exactly the kind of person who took this footage. At one point, the shark in the video swam so close to him that it almost swallowed the camera. But it didn't, and the fish went on its way. I don't know about you, but I would never dare to dive like that. Black dragon. Some people might even find the chainsaw crayfish cute. A lot of people are more or less used to sharks. Mystique impresses not everyone, and that's why I decided to show you a creature that will surely make even the most unimpressive viewer horrified. This creature is called Idiocanthus, or the black dragon, and it lives at depths of up to 6,500 feet. I think that if this fish were in the movies, it would definitely win the Oscar for Best Makeup, well, not having any makeup at all. However, to me, what makes it special is not even that scary appearance. The fish doesn't have any scales, but is covered with a special, unique slime. This mucus glows in the dark, and it covers the mouth, the eyes, and many other parts of the body. With the help of this, the fish, let's say, hypnotizes the other underwater inhabitants. Its body shimmers. In addition, the black dragon has a built-in fishing rod, which makes the creature a top deep-sea hunter. The so-called fishing rod is right under its very nose, literally and figuratively. It glows, which is why the prey, without realizing it, fall into the trap in the blink of an eye. But the most frightening thing in this creature is not any part of the body. Separately, I'd like to single out the females. Usually in the wild, females are just larger than males. Sometimes they can eat them and so on, but here Mother Nature has really done a great job. It gifted the female black dragon with crooked, like a doctor's handwriting, teeth, and an eternally open mouth from which the teeth stick out. It just looks insanely creepy. Yeah, no male is sure to want to come athwart a female with such a frightening look. Toothed creature. It's a wolffish, and it has a very beautiful smile. It's so dazzling, in fact, that even this crab had no time to comprehend it before it found itself in the fish's teeth. It's not possible to get out of there at all, no matter how strong the zeal for life the fish prey may have. Adults are so strong that they can easily bite a harpoon or a shovel handle in half. Also, wolffish crack shells with their jaws like nuts. Under these conditions, the fish have to change their teeth once a year. Usually it happens in winter, and instead of the teeth that have fallen out, new ones grow, which in a month and a half can fully perform their functions. You can count for yourself how many such cycles of loss and new growth the wolffish goes through. After all, if the fish is not caught in a fisherman's net, it, according to experts, can live up to 20 years. Come here. That's what the octopus said in this video and clung to the man with all its dozens of suction cups. It's clear to everyone that the creature tried to attack the diver, but because of too great a difference in size, it failed to do so. On the contrary, such an attack only played into the diver's hands. They got unforgettable emotions and unique footage. But wait a minute, maybe it wasn't an attack at all. Maybe the octopus used the man as a bus. It clung to it, swam some distance, and got off at the stop it needed, slipping away between the pebbles at the bottom. Sarcastic fringehead. This ray-finned fish lives in cracks and crevices of underwater rocks. It has, to put it mildly, an unusual appearance. But that's not all. The fish also got a very bad temper. It's quite aggressive. Defending its territory, it can even attack a diver. But due to its small size, it cannot cause serious harm to a human, except that it will tear the diving suit with its teeth. Nevertheless, it will do everything to frighten an intruder. That's exactly what happened in our video. This time, two sarcastic fringeheads came face to face and began to test each other for stress resistance. Each creature took turns opening its mouth and trying its best to scare its opponent, making sounds, dynamic vibrations, and jerking a bit. In the end, it didn't lead to any fight, but there were definitely prerequisites for it. But in the fight with the crab, it came to action. Though it was hardly a fight, the little baby crab was an easy prey for the sarcastic fringehead, as it could possibly be. The fish swallowed it in one nimble jerk. The maximum the crab did to it was sit in its mouth for a couple of seconds, making it feel uncomfortable a bit. It's understandable since the crab had a tiny size, and the mouth of the fish is able to open much wider than its own head, uncovering an unusual jaw covered with lots of pointed teeth. If you do not want to encounter such a creepy creature, just don't come to Mexico and do not go under the water at a depth of more than 230 feet. It's simple. I love diving for the moments like this. People say, yeah, dive in our cages, they're safe. You'll get a lot of positive emotions. You'll remember this experience forever and encounter real sharks face to face. It's pretty much how it is. Except I don't think I'll remember the diving because I have a feeling I won't get out of there, especially considering the kind of cages they're making nowadays. And this video is another proof of that. The fish somehow magically got into the cage as if it were a Hogwarts wizard. But seriously, it just broke through the cage at breakneck speed. People tried to help the predator get out of there, but it succeeded without their participation and help. That's pretty much the end of the video. But the best part was just further. A man got out of that same cage after the shark. He was there the whole time. Are you kidding me? How's that even possible? Seems to me that after this incident, the man would definitely not want to dive in a cage. He got adrenaline for several lifetimes to come. Now that we've done with the ocean, let's move on to the smaller bodies of water. River inhabitants can also be very frightening. Next, I'll show you the most dangerous fish on the planet. And we'll start right away with a rather large fish, which can give a head start to many others in terms of teeth. Its size can weigh up to 110 pounds, and its length exceeds 4.2 feet. With such an impressive size, the fish has as many as 32 teeth, each of which, without exception, can be compared to razor-sharp fangs. Because of its wide jaw and strong grip, it's almost unrealistic to get out of the mouth of the Goliath tigerfish, and therefore it rightly takes the position of one of the most dangerous fish in the world. Also, because of its very aggressive behavior, local fishermen often try to catch the Goliath tigerfish. This is a kind of challenge for them. However, not everyone succeeds. Maximum 1 out of 10 people can do it. This creature can chew up a fishing rod, swim against the current, and generally do everything that comes into its head. Payara. This creature, unlike the tigerfish, is not capable of surprising by its large size. However, it doesn't need it. After all, the payara has huge fangs, which grow mainly from the lower jaw. By the way, it's because of these long and sharp teeth the fish was given the nickname vampire fish. However, the fangs are not the only thing the payara can surprise you with. It's also capable of jumping out of the water quite impressively. The fish moves very fast and solves any problem with brute force. In short, this is a real bull, which if it sees the target will go right after it no matter what. Even a piranha can be handled by a payara if it's in a bad mood. Although this species has become known for its terrifying fangs, it also has sharp, spike-like teeth all around its mouth. Even considering that the fangs only reach 4 to 6 inches in length, they're so dangerous that there are 2 small holes on the upper jaw, where these fangs sort of slide in when the fish closes its mouth so as to not injure itself. Red lionfish. If the previous creatures at first sight instilled fear and the realization that it's better not to mess with them, then everything's quite the opposite with this fish. I don't know about you, but I want to touch it. It's too beautiful. It has an unusual coloring, and it's even miniature. However, if I touched it, probably I'd be in trouble. After all, the red lionfish is very dangerous. It's dangerous with its venom, which lurks in the spines hiding under its fins. When the fish senses the danger, it begins to quickly spread the venomous fins and then actively attack, trying to prick the opponent. A curious fact: although this fish is very dangerous, it's still very popular as a fish for the aquarium. People are attracted by its amazing appearance. But what kind of fish you obviously don't want to keep in an aquarium is a moray eel. This huge creature, as thick as an adult's thigh and up to 10 feet long, can weigh up to 66 pounds. It has slime on its sides, allowing it to easily penetrate into a variety of caves and shelters. But the main feature of the fish, as you know, is not that. It's ranked among the most dangerous fish because of the real double jaw. The first one is where it should be, and the second one is in the area of the throat. That's why there's a legend that the moray was the prototype for the monster from the Alien movie, which had a second extending jaw. The principle of hunting of this unusual creature is quite simple. The moray waits for the night, hides in a shelter where it can't be seen, and as soon as the prey will swim by, it'll make a lightning lunge and swallow the prey. Speaking of preys, the moray is called the sea orderly. Do you know why? It turns out that these fish do not disdain to eat weak or sick fish. Moreover, these fish have been known as dangerous creatures since ancient times. In ancient Rome, there was even a corresponding execution. Unfortunate people were thrown into the pool with moray eels, and people watched the unequal battle, in which the victim was doomed. Before the brutal execution, the predators were practically not fed and accustomed to the smell of blood. Phew! I think the degree of tension has risen a bit. Let's change the subject and look at a variety of unusual fish, including the most venomous one, a unique fish that crawls out on land, and even the fastest fish in the world. It's going to be interesting. Stonefish. When you hear the name, you're unlikely to match it to any of the above. It feels like all this fish does is lie motionless at the bottom of the ocean. But the first impression, as is usually the case, is deceptive. This predatory creature is eager to suck its prey into its bottomless mouth alive, or poison it without any chance of escape. All the more so, the stonefish never has a problem with positioning at all. It's become so adept at its business that it's almost unrealistic to distinguish it from its inanimate namesake. The stonefish easily hides at the bottom and waiting for the right moment to attack the fish it likes. Actually, it would be wrong to call it an attack. This is where it all ends up much faster. One big nom and the prey's already in the bottomless stomach of the stonefish. At the same time, it's impossible to eat the fish itself. First of all, you have to find it. And secondly, this creature will gladly pierce all the enemies with its venomous spikes, located along the entire perimeter of the dorsal fin. By the way, the stonefish is considered the most venomous fish in the world. Even a human can fall into its trap, and the trap will be very painful. The fact is that the venom of this fish is complex and hits both the heart muscle and the nervous system. Without timely medical aid, the person will die rather quickly. Climbing perch. And this is a fish that is insanely, simply, terribly dangerous. And the paradox is that it's dangerous not so much because of its power, but because of the imbalance that the climbing perch brings to the world. The fact is that the creature has not long been settled in Australia, even though it's originally from Southeast Asia, and all because a feature of the climbing perch is the ability to get out on land. And then all the scientists sounded the alarm. The fact is that this fish is a very difficult prey. Many animals don't know it at all, don't understand this danger. As a result, snakes, rodents, birds, and anyone can try to eat the climbing perch. However, the attempt will be unsuccessful almost 100% of the time. This fish has an extremely effective defense measure. In addition to the sharp fins, the fish also has spines behind the gill covers. If someone decides to swallow this fish whole, it'll pay with its life. The climbing perch blocks the airways and doesn't let the predator spit itself back out. Thus, for example, snakes that have no idea what kind of fish it is will die one after one. And in the long run, it'll result in a disruption of the natural environment. It'll take at least a few years for the animals to get used to it. Hi-ho! The animals don't know that the little fish merely learned to get out on dry land. Who would have thought that it would cause so many problems and troubles? And the funny fact is the fish doesn't just go on land. it often has to move to another body of water. Snailfish. Next up is an inhabitant of all the oceans from the Arctic to the Antarctic. And not just any inhabitant, but an inhabitant of the depths. Despite its name, this is not some mollusk, but a real fish which has the title of the deepest vertebrate on the planet. By the way, its own body doesn't allow it to rise to the surface. It's too fragile for this process. The snailfish is permanently stuck at its depth. Its body prevents it from rising higher, and it's physically unrealistic to go lower, according to scientists. The fact is that below its depth, the fish would not be able to withstand the pressure. To give you an idea of how high pressure there is, the snailfish lives in an environment which pressure can be equated to the weight of 1,600 elephants. In such an environment, the fish swim normally, carry eggs that are about 0.3 inches in diameter, and eat all kinds of crustaceans. Curiously, living under such pressure, this fish has developed a number of adaptations that help it survive in the depths of the Pacific Ocean. It has extra genes to repair DNA and produce a chemical that stabilizes key proteins. It has also lost many of the genes responsible for its sense of smell, possibly due to limited dietary diversity. Sailfish. This fish is easily recognized from thousands of others. Let's thank its bright and large sail, after which it got its name. In addition, the name is quite symbolic because the sailfish is considered the fastest fish in the world. It's very difficult to see the fish swimming near the surface of the water with its sail unfurled and sticking out of the water. It's noteworthy that the fish spreads its dorsal fin only when strongly excited, and the height of the fin itself is twice the height of the fish's body. This fish is an illustration of how air intakes and spoilers on cars work. When it picks up speed, its fin kinda folds up. And when the sailfish turns, the fins instantly straighten and the fish changes its trajectory. This fish is considered the fastest one due to the fact that, thanks to its body structure, it can reach speeds of up to 68 miles per hour. The secret of success lies in its adaptation. The sailfish has learned to create special eddies behind the tail. Not only its body structure helps it in this, but also its sword-shaped upper jaw. This is the stonefish. This is not only the most venomous representative of fish, but also one of the most venomous and frightening animals in the world in general. This creature is only 6 to 8 inches long, with a large, ugly head, small eyes, and a large mouth with protruding lower jaw. The fish, justifying its name, masquerading as a stone or a rock on the seabed, waiting for prey, and then sharply sets its jaws in motion, devouring the prey. Sometimes the stonefish goes into battle on its own, even attacking larger prey, for example, an eel. Predators, on the contrary, find it difficult to attack the stonefish. Because it has rigid and venomous spines on its back, it's through them that the venom flows. When someone presses the stonefish, it pierces the prey and injects venom into the prey. This venom is extremely dangerous for many fish, as well as for humans. Quite a few people have died after such an injection in just a few hours or even minutes. Those who have managed to survive have had a very hard time. Victims compare the venomous injection of stonefish to being hit with a sledgehammer for hours on end. It only takes a few months for the symptoms to completely go away. On the other hand, people themselves can get revenge on this fish, for example, by cooking it for dinner. That's what they do in Japan. But much more often in Japan, they cook other dangerous fish. I'm talking about fugu, of course. These fish of the pufferfish family are famous for their ability to bloat in times of danger, their unusual appearance, and of course, their poison. The organs of fugu contain a poison that's almost 300 times more toxic than the well-known cyanide. Just a few dozen milligrams of fugu poison is enough to kill 30 people. 60% of poisonings are fatal. First comes paralysis and numbness, and then the victim stops breathing. According to scientists, at this moment the victim feels euphoria, comparable to the effect of illegal substances. By the way, dolphins deliberately bite into fugu to get a small dose of poison and get high. Despite all this, in Japan, fugu is a national delicacy. However, not everyone cooks fugu. The chef has to be a true master because the lives of the customers are at stake. Besides, the chef has to have a license. In ancient times, no licenses were issued, but there was a law. If a customer died, the chef committed harikiri. Lionfish. In contrast to pufferfish and stonefish, Lionfish look very nice. They're beautiful fish between 8 to 18 inches long with a striking appearance and are common in the Indo-Pacific region. Because of its expressive fins, the lionfish is sometimes called the firefish or the butterfly cod. It's worth admiring this beauty from a distance and on no account touching its fins. There are toxic needles lurking in them. They're so toxic that the venom retains its power even after the death of the fish. Just one prick can cause a person to lose consciousness or go into severe shock. In addition, poisoning with the venom of the lionfish is accompanied by convulsions and congestive heart failure. Besides, gangrene can develop in the puncture area, and the pain from the puncture lasts for several hours. It's amazing how toxic such a small fish can be. For this feature, it may well be called unusual, like many other fish that are worth a look. Keep watching to see the fish with the most powerful teeth, the largest and smallest fish in the world, and the sea creature that can outdistance everyone in the ocean. What do you think has the strongest bite? Maybe a great white shark or a barracuda? Actually, piranhas have the strongest bite. If you take body size in relation to jaw strength, it's the piranha that comes first. The piranha's bite force exceeds its own weight by 30 times. This would be the same as if a human could bite harder than a huge crocodile. The name piranha itself means scissors in one of the local Indian languages. The piranha's teeth work just like scissors. Closing, they're able to break a small branch, gnaw the carcass of an animal, and break a metal rod. Fortunately, piranhas are not as dangerous to humans as is commonly believed. History has not recorded any deaths from attacks of piranhas. These fish are timid and usually do not attack large objects, but they can easily injure people. A piranha will bite a human finger in a split second without even noticing the bone. Sharks are much more dangerous for people. They're less well-known toothy creatures. According to statistics, it's sharks that can be called the most dangerous fish for people. Each year, about 80 unprovoked shark attacks on humans occur, and about 10% of such attacks end fatally. Particularly dangerous in this regard are the great white shark, which is rightfully called a man-eater shark, the tiger shark, which can eat anything at all, and the bull shark, an aggressive, crazy creature which can live even in rivers. The mako shark is also dangerous. It attacks people and sometimes jumps directly onto boats. But not all sharks are dangerous. There are also harmless sharks, such as the whale shark, and this despite the fact that it's the largest of all sharks, and even among all fish in general. These fish can grow to 66 feet in length, although mostly they're individuals which are about 40 feet long. They weigh about 20 tons, but there were also individuals weighing over 30 tons. Like the common whale, after which it's named, the shark feeds on plankton, which it sucks into its giant mouth. By the way, it has up to 15,000 teeth. They're so tiny that they don't pose a threat to humans. In addition, the whale shark itself will never attack a person. It's a pity that such an amazing giant is on the verge of extinction. The next animal in this episode is the exact opposite of the whale shark. If the latter is the largest fish in the world, this fish is the smallest of all. Its scientific name is Pitocyprus progenitica. The maximum length of the fish is about 0.3 inches. At first glance, it's even difficult to believe that this is an adult fish and not some minnow or other organism. You can find this baby fish in Indonesia. It's endemic to this country. The fish is found in peat bogs with very acidic water, as well as in streams with a slow flow and reservoirs with standing water. The tiny fish is found only in shaded ponds. It's never been observed in an open, brightly lit area. What's interesting, the body of this fish is translucent, and the skeleton of the head is so small that it leaves the brain completely unprotected. It's all because of the tiny size of the fish. Because of it, females can carry only a few eggs, and the male's genital organ is so small that it's able to fertilize each egg individually. So you won't get bored, let's speed up this episode. The sailfish, the fastest fish on the planet, will help us with this. This racer boasts an incredible speed of up to 68 miles per hour. For comparison, the great white shark accelerates at about 25 to 31 miles per hour. The crazy speed of the sailfish is due to its muscular body and special shape of the muzzle. The outgrowths on the upper and lower jaw create turbulence, which reduces water resistance and allows the sailfish to develop greater speed. The sailfish's tail also creates turbulence due to the high frequency and small amplitude of the sweeps, which creates even greater acceleration. Only one fish in the ocean can compete with the sailfish in high-speed swims, and that's the black marlin. The sailfish is faster than it at the start, it has insane acceleration, but the black marlin swims better at the same high speed. The black marlin accelerates up to 53 miles per hour, thanks to which it chases even motorboats with people. Dwarf seahorse. And now, on the contrary, let's slow down a bit. But actually, we'll slow down a lot, because we're facing the dwarf seahorse, the main slowpoke of the underwater world. You could call it the marine version of the sloth because it's the slowest fish on the planet. Only 5 feet per hour. That's its limit. Just imagine in what shock would be this seahorse if a sailfish took it for a ride. But don't think that the dwarf seahorse is some kind of loser. Despite its slowness, it's a very successful hunter. Almost every hunt by the dwarf seahorse is successful. This fish is able to grab prey that swims several times faster and does so swiftly. What's interesting, dwarf seahorses prefer to move long distances, clinging to floating algae and debris. This saves strength. But during a storm, slow travelers constantly run the risk of being washed ashore with their unreliable watercraft. And finally, I suggest you take a look at some unusual finds and catches of fish. The first is the most recent one. In mid-October, an ocean sunfish, the heaviest of all bony fish, was found off the coast of Portugal. For over 100 years, the record was held. In 1908, near Sydney, they caught an ocean sunfish weighing 4,927 pounds. In Portugal, they found a fish weighing 6,049 pounds. The giant turned out to be almost 11.4 feet long and wide. Late last year, a fish called football fish washed ashore in San Diego, USA. It's one of the representatives of anglerfish. These monsters live in great depths, so such a find has become a rarity. In addition, the fish was perfectly preserved. Finally, several years ago in Norway, fisherman Oskar Lundahl went to catch halibut in the North Sea. But instead, he caught some strange mutant with giant eyes. To this day, it's not entirely clear what Oskar caught. That's it for today. Would you like to see these fish in person? Let me know in the comments. And thanks for watching.